You're looking at explosions purported to be from airstrikes against the Islamic State in Syria. This video is reportedly outside of Idlib, a city in Syria's west and near the Turkish border. The U.S. military and several Middle Eastern nations carried out a series of attacks Monday night local time, confirms the Pentagon. I'm Ramy Inocencio for Asia Today. Fanar Haddad joins me from the Middle East Institute at the National University of Singapore via Skype. Now, Fanar, what were your first thoughts when you heard the news about these strikes happening?
This is something I think that should have taken place a long time ago. ISIS should never have been allowed to entrench themselves so deeply in northeastern Syria and to actually start developing the trappings of a proto-state. Now, how far this gets taken and what the consequences can be from this, obviously this can go in many different ways, in many different directions. Much will depend on what happens in the next 24 hours.
What were they targeting? What could they have been targeting?
I would hope that they would target some of their economic infrastructure and, of course, their administrative infrastructure. Any military hardware as well would be a worthy target. We've heard much about ISIS's oil assets, for example. I believe between refineries and fields, they hold about 9 assets. Those would be useful targets to constrain them economically. I think this could be a turning point.
Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, as well as Saudi Arabia are now working with the U.S. How important was it to get them on board? And do you think the U.S. could have tried to do it alone?
In terms of military contribution, I'm not entirely sure the United States is in actual need of the Emirati or the Jordanian Air Force. But it does help to build that broad sort of face, broad coalition, a facade of regional involvement, and I think that is important, if for no other reason than to undermine the sort of this is another crusade narrative.
Right. Now, ISIS is, of course, one aspect in Syria. Bashar al-Assad, the country's leader, is another aspect. What is his role? What is he doing right now? Is he just hanging back, waiting to see what's going to happen with the U.S. and other Arab nations and ISIS?
Will he come out and try to pretend that he is a part of a broader anti-terrorist fight against ISIS and others? Will he stick to his axis of resistance line that is more commonly associated with the Assad rhetoric, in which he will portray this as an attack on the axis of resistance and a violation of Syrian sovereignty? It's not the easiest position for Assad to be in. However, this is sort of what he has been building up towards for the past 2 years or so. I think it has been in Assad's interest to see the ISIS phenomenon grow to the magnitude that it's at now. It was in his interest for the ISIS phenomenon to make him seem as the more palatable alternative.
Do you think this is the start of a very protracted engagement in the Middle East, or do you think this is something that's going to happen and be over very quickly?
It certainly won't be over very quickly, that's for sure. ISIS physically is a formidable challenge that will take a while. In addition to that, killing ISIS as an idea is something that's going to take a very long time. Now that America is finally getting involved in the Syrian quagmire, it is a quagmire because even if you sort of manage to contain ISIS, there's no clear policy options available in terms of how to deal with the broader civil war, what the world's position should be vis-a-vis the Assad regime, and how to address the fight in Syria without ISIS.
Fanar Haddad, Research Fellow at the Middle East Institute at the National University of Singapore. Thanks very much for joining me.